YouTube, this is Southern Purple One. Welcome to Boots on the Ground and news you should know. Let's get right into it. This is Housewife Prepper. She has an Instagram and a TikTok account, and I'm going to give you a link for him. JD, a friend of mine, said that he saw her promoting our products and our book, so I appreciate that. I don't know this lady, but I appreciate the shout out, and in return, I will shout out your two Instagram and your TikTok channels. Let's get right into it. Credit card companies are racking up losses at the fastest pace in almost 30 years outside of the great financial crisis, according to Goldman Sachs. And this is from CNBC. Credit card losses bottomed in September of 2021, while the initial increase were likely to reversal of the stimulus money. People got stimulus money, and that definitely helped. They didn't have to use their credit card. But it looks like the current loss for companies, because people are not paying their bills, are 3.63%. And Goldman says it's going to rise another 1.3% to almost 5% loss. And this comes at a time where the American people are over $1 trillion in credit card debt. And this is a record. So it does not look good. The delinquencies are definitely climbing. And if the economy goes into a further recession, I can definitely see these rates going higher and higher because people cannot afford to pay their bills. This is from England, and the vast majority of migrants that are smuggled into Europe, and this would be the European Union, were males. Only 8% of those fleeing their country going over the European Union, 8% are women. So that leaves you at 92% men. Some of the leading countries that they're seeing, Afghans, 33%, Syrians, 15%, and Turks, 10%. If you're from Canada, you will see that your fearless leader Trudeau promised another $655 million to Ukraine, and also said he'd give him the unwavering long-term support. It's from a viewer in Oregon. They said reports of R99 diesel being offered at certain gas stations for a little cheaper in my area are hitting social media. People are saying that the vehicle is running poorly after filling up. These stations are running about 30 cents cheaper for diesel. The average is about $5.40 a gallon for diesel. So it's R99 diesel. They also said, I have also noticed an overwhelming amount of people in community groups on social media asking for help or odd jobs for income. Help with dog food, free children's clothes, rides to grocery stores, or car parts to get their car running so they can drive to work. Within the first few comments, someone has always offered help. The other day I saw a post from a man who needed $10 in quarters to wash pants because it's getting colder here, and said he could not. And he could repay someone on the first. Many people commented right away saying they could help him. I hope those that have needs will get the help they're asking for. It's heartwarming to see strangers coming together to help each other in a time of need. This comes from really close to me, and it says, my elderly mother lives on acreage off a winding country road. And she says she was awakened a little after 3:30 yesterday by a woman beating on her door. And that's 3:30 at night. When my mom then opened the door, the woman started around the house beating on every door and window repeatedly for 37 minutes until sheriff's deputy arrived. She didn't call right away. She took 5 minutes before she called the law. She was hoping the lady would go away. But from now on, if you think there's danger, call. You never know when you can't get that call out or if something escalates. So call immediately. That's what we pay taxes for. The woman, the one that was pounding on the house, clearly under the influence of something, greeted the deputy by telling him that she wasn't doing anything wrong and that she didn't have a home at the moment, that she wasn't really sure what was going on and she needed a place to stay. The deputy informed her that it was 4:17 a.m., hardly an appropriate time to be beating on the door and windows of a stranger. The woman then became even more inconsistent that whoever was in the house needed to open up and let her in. My mother had the means to defend herself if the woman had entered by force, but thankfully it did not come to that. Still, the incident was unnerving. It is painfully obvious that if you're in the rural area, it really is not rural enough. And the widow lady that was in the house was 80 years old. So make sure you are prepared. It took a long time for a deputy to get out here. When you're out in the country, the response times can vary, but it can be 30 minutes easy. You have to be able to defend yourself, or at least offer yourself first aid or another loved one first aid until help can arrive. The Biden administration announced that Vice President Harris will oversee the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention to reduce gun violence. Basically, this is a chance to take away our Second Amendment rights, and the Democratic president is all for it, and the vice president. This is from a bank in Australia. It's an Australian bank, and it has more than 250 billion in assets. Said it would soon terminate cash transactions in all of its branches. It will launch a plan to eliminate all cash, check, and phone payment services in January, shifting to a digital operation by the end of 2024. It's going to phase out between January 2024 and November 2024, phase out of all the cash and check services across all of their banks and wealth management services, including pension and super accounts. We're also switching off our automatic telephone banking service used to make payments over the phone. And they're going to put some limits on withdrawing cash. Once the charges are rolled out, anyone with a bank account who wants to withdraw cash, you have a maximum of $2,000 Australian dollars per day. They had a survey done, and the central bank found that cash was only used 27% in person transactions in 2021, compared to 23% in 2020. So if you want to throw a monkey wrench into the central planners, use cash. Leave the debit card in your wallet, use cash. Cash is untraceable. Cash means freedom. If you're wanting to become more free, use cash. Do not let them track what you're doing with your money. The Department of Homeland Security, Custom and Border Patrol waited until Friday afternoon to drop their latest numbers on illegal alien apprehension at the southern border. So, for August, apprehension rate was over 304,000, and that's the highest month so far on record. Since Joe Biden took office, 7.5 million illegal aliens have been encountered and released into the United States. Now, a lot of them have come across the border, and the Border Patrol doesn't know about it. 7.5 million. On that number, 5.18 million were single adult males. This is definitely an invasion of our country, and I will tell you point blank, they want it. The Democrats want it for voters, the Republicans want it for cheap labor, and as this continues, it is going to decimate our country. We do not have a country unless we have sovereignty and we have a defined border that we enforce. It is so bad right now in Mexico that the Mexican government is complaining to the U.S. because the people traveling through, there's just so many. This problem is going to get worse and worse as more people hear that, their relatives made it in the United States. The sad thing is, I have solid information that we are supporting this maneuver. We're giving them aid. We're giving them money. And a lot of Americans do not get the support that these illegal aliens are getting when they enter our country. This person said, I went into a local Walmart to pick up a few things, and they just stood there frozen, taking in the prices. Everything was so much higher than it was a few weeks ago. A lot of other people in the store seemed dazed as they looked at the prices. It is so sad. My husband and I are empty nesters, always savers, and live below our means. So for now, we are okay. But now, how on earth can people with kids and minimum wage jobs afford to feed themselves? It is so sad to think about. We raised 4 children, and it was costly 40 years ago, but nothing like it is now. Keeping everyone in our prayers and helping others when we can. If you heard about the mayor of Dallas, he was a Democrat. He switched parties. I find that interesting. He's point blank saying the Democratic Party is destroying the cities. Their policies are destroying America. This comes from a lady that works at Walmart. My wife works at Walmart. She claims they have been gone back to the hiring at the pre-COVID rate. She was told she was going to get a $2 raise after 60 or 90 days, and they said they will not be doing that, and all new hires are coming in at a lower rate rate. I actually reported about this about 6, 7, 8 days ago, and now we're seeing solid evidential proof that Walmart has cut their starting pay for their workers. If you've been following the shipping lines and shipping prices for shipping a container across the sea, they're definitely falling, and this is because of there's no demand. The world is cutting back, people are cutting back, so not as much stuff is being shipped, and the rate for this is falling. Now, it can get to a point where it falls so much it's very detrimental to trade. The U.S. is preparing the Kenya military, and these guys are being trained. These are soldiers from Kenya that will be going into Haiti to assist the Haitians. They've had a huge problem with just basically lawlessness and gangs. As you know, Zelensky was at the White House. He was talking to Congress, trying to beg more money from us. He did not get a lot offered to him, but the only positive thing is we have given him some Abrams tanks, and 10 of these tanks are getting very close to being delivered to Ukraine to use. We've offered 31 of these tanks. These tanks will make no difference, zero. These poor people are going to be slaughtered, as evidenced by the slaughter of the whole Ukrainian military. They're being decimated because they don't have air support. Even the new equipment like the Challengers and other tanks, they're not faring at all. They are being destroyed. And to close off, the F-35 report was put in. It's a new government report that said these planes are only mission ready 50% of the time. 50% of the time. We're relying on these to counter the Russians, to counter the Chinese. But when they're only able to fly 50% of the time, our national security is definitely in jeopardy. So there you go, some boots on the ground. If you have anything you can offer, send it to Southern Prepper1, Southern Prepper1, #1 at yahoo.com. Thanks for watching.